On its own, the Dark World Structure deck is a pretty insane deck, especially if you combine 3 of them, but it's not as competitive as it could be. With only the Structure deck, you're probably not going to be winning many tournaments, so in this video, I'm going to show you my top best picks for which cards you should go out and get to add to your Dark World Structure deck. First up, we're going to look at a few extra deck monsters. These cards are used in a lot of the best Dark World decks, the ones that are topping in the regionals, the locals. All the best Dark World decks use these 3 monsters. First of all, we have Akashic Magician. Akashic Magician is a Link 2 monster, very easy to summon 2 monsters with the same type except for tokens. That is no problem at all for your Dark Worlds. So Akashic Magician's effect, when she's summoned, returns all monsters this card points to the hand. So not only will that allow you to get rid of one of your opponent's monsters potentially, but it will also allow you to return your Ceruli back to the hand, assuming that you're running a copy of Ceruli, which you absolutely should be if you're running Akashic Magician. Its next effect, once per turn you can declare a card name, excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the total link rating of link monsters co-linked to this card. Then if you excavated any copies of the declared card, add them to your hand. Also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. So this will be a great card to search for your maybe your Genta or your Gates of Dark World, something to really get your plays going if you don't already have anything. And of course it sends the remaining cards to the graveyard, which is never a bad thing. But they probably won't be getting off this effect. The main reason you want Akashic Magician is to return Ceruli to your hand from your opponent's field to continue using those plays. The next card that we see in all of the Dark World extra decks is, of course, Macracker from the Underworld. Macracker from the Underworld is a Link 2 monster requiring only 2 effect monsters, very easy to summon. Cannot be used as Link material the turn it is Link summoned, which is unfortunate, but you can use your Akashic Magician to summon her. And its effect is that if a monster you control be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can tribute 1 Fiend monster instead. Of course, running Dark World, so tributing a Fiend will be no problem. And most importantly, you can target 1 Fiend monster in your graveyard, except for Macracker, then discard 1 card, and if you do, special summon that summoned monster. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for Fiend monsters. Again, not a problem in Dark Worlds. So, this will not only bring back a Fiend monster from your graveyard, that being any of your Dark Worlds, your Rainbow, your Grapha, no problem whatsoever. It will also allow you to discard a card from your hand, which, as we know, gets off all of our Dark World effects, allowing us to go into all sorts of other plays, as you saw in many of my previous Dark World videos. Macracker's effect is very useful as a starter card. All you need is 2 monsters on the field, no problem for Dark Worlds, and then you get a discard and a special summon, which is fantastic. Finally, the third card to include in your Dark World extra deck has to be number 60, Durgares the Timeless. Durgares is incredible. Like, this card is ridiculous in Dark Worlds. 2 level 4 monsters, very easy to summon with just a combination of your Genta and any level 4 Dark World. Of course, Genta is very easy to special summon by its own effect. And then you can summon number 60. So number 60's effect, detach 2 materials to activate one of the following effects. You can either skip the battle phase of the next turn and double the attack of 1 monster you control until the end of the turn. Great for an OTK. You can skip your next main phase 1 and special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense position. But finally, the most important effect, you can skip your next draw phase, draw 2 cards, and then discard 1. That effect is absolutely just ridiculous in Dark Worlds. If you saw my Dark World combo video, then you'll know how powerful that effect is. Drawing 2 cards, discarding a card, and of course discarding is great for Dark Worlds, gets off all of their effects, and all you have to do is skip your draw phase. You don't need your next draw phase, alright? Your first draw phase is the only draw phase that you're ever going to need, especially if you're drawing 2 cards off of this card's effect. Like with Dark Worlds, first turn, you've got like 6 boss monsters on the field, you don't need another draw phase. You'd rather have the 2 cards than discard 1. That's better every time. Just ask anyone, that's better every time, it's better every time. Next up, we're going to look into a few cards to put into your main deck. So the first option is Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card is good for the main deck, but it's maybe better for the side deck instead. But Eradicator Epidemic is very powerful. If you heard about the recent Germany regionals, I think it was, somebody just got decimated you could say they got eradicated, by Eradicated Epidemic, destroying their entire handful of spells. So if your opponent's running a lot of spells or traps, then you definitely want to side in Eradicated Epidemic. If you don't know what this does, you contribute a dark monster with 2,500 or more attack, declare one type, spell or trap, look at your opponent's hand and all spell or trap cards they control, and all cards they draw for the next 3 turns, and destroy all cards of the declared type. So you declare spell, for the next 3 turns, all of your opponent's spell cards are just gone, including all the ones they have on the field and in their hand. And if it's the first turn, that can be incredibly brutal. And of course, with Eradicated Epidemic, you just tribute your Rainbow, you tribute your Grapha, and they can then be brought back next turn by their own effect. Next up, this card is a little bit less of something that you want to look into adding now, because of course we don't have it in the TCG, the OCG only just got it, and that is Dark Corridor. This card is obviously going to be fantastic for Dark Worlds, but it is not included in the Dark World structure deck, so I thought I'd better let you know about it. Dark Corridor adds 1 Dark World monster from your deck to the hand, and then you discard 1 card. You can only use 1 Dark Corridor once per turn. This card is going to be insane. Once this card comes out, Dark Worlds are really going to get a hell of a lot better, because Dark Corridor adds another starter. Like I said in previous videos, the only starter that this deck really has is of course the Rainbow and Genta combo. Without these cards in your hand, your Dark World deck can't do much, especially without Genta, or at least your Gates of Dark World. But with Dark Corridor, you can now have 3 more cards in your deck that can then add either your Rainbow or your Genta or any other Dark World monster straight from your deck to the hand, and then discard 1. You can even use it to add Snow and then immediately discard Snow, getting Snow's effect to add another Dark World card to your hand. Dark Corridor is going to be completely insane when it comes out, and if you're running Dark Worlds, you want 3 of these cards as soon as you can. Next up, a card that everybody is running in their Dark World deck these days, that is Salamander Catalyzer. Salamander Catalyzer is a pretty great card. Most people are only really running it at 1, as it's a good starter card, but it's not much else, you know. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it is fantastic, especially for your Link plays. With Salamander's effect, you can reveal this card and 1 Fiend monster, that being any of your Dark Worlds, in your hand, special summon one of them and discard the other. This card can immediately summon your Grapha, or it just immediately discards any of your Dark Worlds, opening up a starter, you know, enabling that Dark World's effect, and then special summons itself, which can then be used to go into any of your Link summons, which is fantastic. Its other effect is that when a monster is destroyed by battle involving a Fiend monster while this is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. This is of course great to get off that effect again, special summon it, go into your Link plays, and discard a Dark World monster, getting off those fantastic Dark World effects. Also, of course, you can just use it to special summon one of your big boys, your Rainbow, your Grapha. Who cares? Next up, we have my personal favorite addition to this list, the absolute cheesiest, the most insane, stupidest tech card you could put in Dark World, Neko Mane King. I want to see this card played in every top Dark World deck, okay? I want this card to win Worlds, alright? I don't care how annoying and stupid Dark Worlds will become because of that. That is just completely hilarious to me. Neko Mane King is a really stupid card. What it does is during your opponent's turn, when this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, it becomes the end phase of this turn. Now you might be wondering, Zinkar, what the hell does this have to do with Dark Worlds? Well, my friend, I'm glad you asked. First of all, Neko Mane King's effect says this card in your possession. In your possession includes being in your hand. It does not need to be on the field. Next, I want you to go ahead and read Graph the Dragon, Overlord of Dark World. You see what I'm saying? You're picking up on it, but you get how stupid this is? With Neko Mane King in your hand and Grapha on your field, as soon as your opponent activates a normal spell or trap or a monster effect, you skip their turn. That is the end for their turn. And then of course, if you saw my combo video, you know how stupid your Dark Worlds are, so that's an immediate OTK right there. Now, Neko Mane King only has one problem, and that you probably only really want to run 1 of this card in your deck. It's not going to be any good having multiple copies in your hand. You only want to see 1 of these cards in your hand. However, you can easily cheat it out by including a tour guide from the underworld and a Sangan. You normal summon your tour guide. Your tour guide will then special summon Sangan from the deck. You can then use these two to link summon either your Macraka or your Akashic Magician or any other link to or just link monster that you can go into. And then Sangan's effect will go off, adding Necromane King to the hand. All you have to do then is get out your Grapha. And basically you win! Next up we have a few extra cards. These cards aren't exactly deck changing cards, they're not revolutionary, but they are cards that you may want to look into for your competitive Dark World deck. First up, for the main deck we have Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. Zephyros the Elite is a great card to go in any deck that just gets rid of a lot of resources and puts them into the graveyard. If it's in the graveyard, you can turn a face-up card you control to the hand to special summon this card. This is of course great for just special summoning cards, getting your Dark Worlds back into the hand to use them again, such as your Genta, and then you have a monster on the field to go into a link summon. Next, of course, we have a few monsters for the extra decks, mainly our Rank 8 Xyz monsters. The best choices for your Rank 8 Xyz for your Dark World deck will be Coach King Giant Trainer, number 22 Zombie Stein, and of course number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. These cards are obviously, rank 8, so you go into them by overlaying your Graphas and your Rainbows, and then you can go into any of these cards for some fantastic plays. Another good option for the extra deck is of course Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Not only can she steal one of your opponent's monsters, but you can also use her to get rid of the Ceruli that you give to your opponent on your first turn, meaning that your opponent won't have anything to use as link material. They won't be able to use your Ceruli themselves, you just get rid of it with the Underworld Goddess. Finally, to add to your Dark World deck, a bit more of the draw engine just to make it a lot more consistent, because Dark World can have a bit of a problem with consistency. First of all, I suggest adding Danger Nessie. Danger Nessie is one of the best danger monsters, and of course if you're running Dark Worlds, you really do need to be running the dangers. With Nessie's effect, when she's discarded, you can add a danger monster to your hand from your deck. Obviously, if you're going off with Nessie, you don't want her to get discarded, you want her to be special summoned to draw a card, but in the case that it is discarded, you then get to add another danger to your hand, and then you can use that danger's effect and continue with your danger plays. So I definitely recommend getting like 1 or 2 copies of Danger Nessie for your deck, just to really continue with your danger plays, because dangers are just absolutely necessary for Dark Worlds. Next draw spell, of course, we have Trade In, we have Allure of Darkness, and The Beginning of the End. These are all fantastic draw spells and will really help you get the cards that you need to get off your main combo and really get those Dark World plays going. So that's it. Those are the best top picks, the best additions to add to the Dark World structure deck. Of course, if you only have 1 copy of the Dark World structure deck, then adding these cards will not help you. You need 3 copies of the Dark World structure deck, and you need to combine them into 1, and then go ahead and add some of these cards just to make it a lot more consistent, make it run better, give it those link monsters, give it the link combos, the extra plays, especially the combo of Akashic Magician and Ceruli, and just really get those things going off, and then of course, win the game with Necromane King. Do it, please, please, win worlds, if you just do it, right, win with Necromane King, I beg you. So that was all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any other really good options for the Dark World decks. These are just the best options that I could find. They're the ones that everyone's running, that all the top decks are going for, and then there's Necromane King, the absolute cheese king himself. So, these are the best options, but if you have better options, if you have options that I didn't think of, options that other people might not have thought of, then please do let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if this was helpful to you. If you want any tips on your deck, then of course ask me in the comments, or join the Discord server, link at the bottom of the description, where you can chat to me directly. Thank you all so very much for watching. My name has been Sin Cara, and until next time, see ya.